And then we hit the field like, and we get it like, all day like, all night like, all day like, all night like, all like, it's now like ES.
Okay, guys, welcome to the huddle this week. We have some special guests. A lot of you guys have probably heard the big news, but we have new partners, and we're super excited about the future for ES Solar. This podcast is going to give you guys a chance to meet the new partners, kind of hear some questions we have for them, things you guys may be thinking of as well. So hope you enjoy this one, and we'll start off by, let's just introduce the AV team. Maybe one of you guys, if you want to explain to us the history of the company, and then we'll talk about each of you.
Okay, since I'm one of the two founders, unfortunately, my partner, the late Jan Steenbeck, passed 20 years ago. So we started the company exactly 26 years ago. And it started as a management consulting firm within one of Sweden's largest groups of companies. And my partner was also voted the entrepreneur of last century, and as you know, there's been a lot of good Swedish entrepreneurs like IKEA, H&M, etc. But he won because he was a serial entrepreneur and built big companies in many industries. So that's how it started, and then we ran it mainly as a management consulting firm. And the first acquisition we did, like the ES Solar one, was a company in the healthcare space doing equipment for moving patients safely and without any problems for neither the patient nor the caretaker. So that company is called HumaCare. So, and then we waited several years until 2009, and that's when we made the second acquisition. And so far we've done 60 acquisitions. However, ES Solar is the largest one to date. So we're very happy with that. So.
Cool.
And so you guys started in Sweden. Locations now still in Sweden. Miami.
The management consulting firm, we actually started simultaneously in the US and Sweden.
Okay.
The locations in New York, Miami, Stockholm, Shanghai, and Istanbul, Turkey.
Oh, wow. I didn't know those two. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So individually then, I mean, obviously great accomplishment, Bruce. I appreciate that. You've done a lot. Obviously, your company is incredible now, and that's why we're so excited to work with you guys. But maybe on a personal level, you can kind of tell us your life, your family situation, your dreams and goals, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, I'll try and be short. As I have many more years on than you guys do. So, born and raised in New York City, and had a Jewish American father and a Swedish mother. And the first 10 years were great living in New York with my sister, and then unfortunately my father got really sick really fast and died of a brain tumor. So I was 10, left alone with my mom and my sister and my maternal grandma as well in New York. And after a year of trying to figure things out, my mother decided that we should move to Sweden, and we were very supportive of it. So didn't know the language, and went from a city of 10 million people then to a small city of 10,000 people. So there were a lot of changes going on, but as an 11-year-old, you cope. And but because of the lack of funds and income, because my mother was a stay-home mom and all of a sudden she had to go out and work in retail without education, that's when really she showed with her life how important it is to think about the poor. So 10% of her paycheck always went to the less fortunate. So, and that's why we're in social impact, and that means a lot to our company and group today. So, and hopefully, we'll be able to integrate those programs together with the ES Solar and stuff you do, which we've understood as well.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That's a great story. We all have good stories, but I love self-made people who, sometimes your back's against the wall, the way you grow up shapes who you are. I know there's a lot of things in my life that have happened that I would not be who I am today if it weren't for it, and they were no fun when they happened, but stuff like that can really shape you into something special. So that's awesome. work-wise, did you always, want to be in the consulting business? Were you that from the start, or?
No, I was more interested in the natural sciences growing up, and so in the Swedish high school system, it's more concentrated. So I studied math and natural sciences, and then chose to start out with chemical engineering. But probably in my junior year, I got really sick and tired of chemical engineering. So even though it was interesting, but I couldn't see myself as a guy with a white coat on in a laboratory the rest of my life. Yeah. So, and there I had my cousin to my mother who said, you're not like that. Your personality is totally wrong for being an engineer. And so I shifted over to business, and then in parallel studied business at the business school in the same city, Gothenburg, Sweden, which is where the Volvos are manufactured and have their headquarters. And then after that, I was able to be a part of a doctoral program which was called The Future of the Automobile, which was administrated by MIT, and it was 7 different countries that had big automotive manufacturing, where Sweden was one of them. And so I did research in the area of lean production and lean supply and lean purchasing, etc. And after that, I started my first consulting firm when I was 25. So because at least it was a subject area where you could sell, if I did my PhD in the anatomy of a butterfly, it would be hard to make money on that. And then I started my own consulting firm, and then sold it to Arthur D. Little, and which was then one of the big international management consulting firms like McKinsey or BCG or Bain, etc. And during that period, that's when I met Jan Stenbeck, the partner of Applied Value, and did consulting work for him, and he wanted to hire me. I said no, because I got the chance to run the biggest division over in Cambridge, Massachusetts, or Boston, Massachusetts. And so we moved with the family when my 3 kids were really young, and 3, 6, and 8, and I've never moved back to Sweden, even though I go back and forth to Sweden every month. But we still live in the U.S. and in Florida, and that's basically my background.
That's awesome. Cool. As on the consulting and auditing, just because that's initially when we first met, that was really intriguing to Jeff and I. I love that kind of stuff. I'm a firm believer that we all can use coaching. We all can use people who've done things we haven't to help us. Maybe just so everyone that's watching this can know what kind of companies, and maybe some they know or this they may not know, have you guys done consulting and auditing type stuff with?
I mean, the real big programs, you could say, is General Motors and basically purchasing and supply chain area. We did work, like intense work, for 10, 12 years in a row. And then, most likely the then CPO, the top guy. And by the way, General Motors then bought stuff for $160 billion, which was the GDP of Israel at the time. So pretty big job he had. And he's going to join us later this year. And I thought also maybe he can, have some kind of participation, and he's also one of the shareholders now.
Oh, cool.
Bo Anderson. So General Motors was a big one. Ericsson's turnaround was also quite interesting, where the guy who ran the turnaround threw out McKinsey and Accenture, and so we were basically the only management consultants there, and we helped them, go from literally minus $2 billion in EBIT to 1.7 plus in 18 months. But we needed to do a lot of cost cutting, and which meant a lot of labor cost cutting too, unfortunately. And but that was another one. And then Ryan was with me as a key player when we helped BlackBerry go from, a hardware company to a software company, basically, because they made the really bad decision to not, follow Android. iOS, of course, they couldn't get access to, but Android really wanted to partner up with them. They said no because they had their own platform, which they thought was better, and it wasn't. And basically, in a short period of time, they lost almost all their hardware business. So
I'm still anti-Apple. I think I'm the only one.
I think I owned a BlackBerry. One of my first phones was a BlackBerry.
Yeah,
I was
BlackBerry.
I love the
Pearl was a
BlackBerry.
great.
we all were BlackBerry fans.
Addicts.
Yeah, addicts. Yeah. So those would probably be the three really big ones where we were engaged in. So.
Well, and like I said, we are excited about that. I know Jeff and I are super excited, but a lot of people in the company have already come up to us since we announced this 2 days ago, and there's a lot of people excited about that too. So it's going to be cool to have such wisdom and guys who've done it before, and we know where our goals are, and we've talked, and they align, and where we want to be, and having guys like you help us is going to be the key. So
and
we're
then
excited
Ryan
about
can
that.
talk about the big one today. It was a supply chain director from BlackBerry who liked working with us, and we became very good friends, he and I, and Ryan and him as well. And back in the day, this is like 15 years ago. And so today he buys big volumes of consulting for us at Meta.
Yeah, so that's Meta, formerly Facebook, and I think for them it's the same growth story that we want for you guys, right? So how do we ramp up? How do we think about what are the next big things for the organization? So helping figure out how many people they need, what that growth plan is going to look like. How do they improve some of those processes as they grow and get bigger? You want to professionalize certain things, make them a little bit tighter, and I think those are the sorts of skills we're hoping to apply here.
Yeah, I agree. Well, since you started there, let's hear about you too.
Sure.
And I want to know too, first, before you go into personal life,
Yeah.
How long have you been with Bruce, and kind of your work history and what you guys have done together there too?
Sure. Yeah, I can start there. So I've been with Bruce since 2008. I graduated from Emory University, had a degree in finance, didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, all right, consulting, that's what you do when you won't know what you want to do, and figured out that I actually kind of just like consulting. But Bruce and I have been through a lot together.
We have.
A lot of good times over the years, and I think for me, being able to stay at one place for that long, I think it's pretty unnatural nowadays that people spend 15 years in one spot. But for me, it was never a debate. It's always been an easy choice because every day is different. There's always different problems that you have to solve. There's no repetition in the type of work that we do. And whether it be on the consulting side or now on different portfolio companies that we have under our banner, all the different challenges, I like problem solving, and we've gotten to share a lot of that problem solving skill sets, and I've learned so much from Bruce over the years, and it's been quite the journey and quite a fun one.
Yeah.
But I grew up in New York, so I'm a New Yorker, born and bred, and
we also have in common, born in New York.
Yeah, that's also true. Born in New York, but you root for the wrong sports teams,
Right.
But I grew up in New York. Spent almost all my life, except for college, in New York. Although I think my wife would argue I live on an airplane a portion of the time now. But for me, I think growing up in New York, wanting to be always a part of it, I love the energy of the city. And I always knew that if I went to go travel elsewhere, I'd be home in New York. And I still think that's sort of my mindset, but I love going out to different clients, different companies, learning about different cultures, different parts of the world, different parts of the US. I think Max and I have a little competition going on how many countries we visited.
You're winning still.
I still think I'm winning. I'm a few more than you, but gotten the privilege and pleasure to work in a lot of different countries around the world and a lot of different places in the U.S. And I think that's part of the fun, is just getting to know different people and trying to figure out, once again, what problems exist in different parts of the world and how can I help. But now I've got a wife and a son, a 1-year-old who just turned 1 yesterday.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I made it through a year. I feel good. He's cute. He's a ball of energy. He's like chaotic energy all the time. Very busy. But we love him. We live in Williamsburg, which is just one of the suburbs, really, of New York. If you think about Manhattan, this is in one of the outer boroughs, and we love it out there. And I think on a personal level, I really love. I'm a sports guy. I'm a New York sports guy, which is why I tell Bruce he roots for the wrong teams. But
I'm a Boston sports fan.
Yeah, I grew up 20 minutes from Yankee Stadium, so I used to be a Yankee season ticket holder, big baseball guy, and everybody says it's boring, but they shortened it up now. The pitch clock's in place.
They have the pitch clock now. Yeah,
it's now under 3 hours. It's an enjoyable way to watch. Spend a Saturday. Just sit and watch a game. I'm trying to get these guys to go more.
Yeah.
Seats. The trick is sunflower seats to get through a baseball game.
You have to be doing something. That's for
Or a hot
sure.
dog or something. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
you, Max.
I can introduce myself. My name is Max. I've been with Applied Value for 10 years, 11 years maybe. I don't know. The shortest of the three, but still a decent amount of time.
That's why he gave you the high chair.
Yeah.
Because you're not just short as a
I
pig,
figured.
you're short as a
And I live in Miami, so I've got the warmest office within the group. It's not too nice right now in June, but as soon as we start to get into the slow months, I'm sure we can finagle a way to get some installs in Florida or something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
So,
We have one.
Figure it out.
yeah.
The installers will love that. If we can January and February go to Florida and install a little bit, they would love that.
Absolutely. My wife and I and our son, we from where we are, we can see this one neighborhood, and I'm always counting the amount of houses that have solar panels now ever since we started working together, and there's a lot of untapped potential, I can tell you. I actually lived in New York for 10 years. I still love New York. We still go probably once a month, something like that, especially now in the summer months. So we'll spend some time with Ryan there in a couple of weeks. And I have been taking a lot more advantage of the warm weather, though, in Florida. So I've been going to the beach a lot more and playing a lot more tennis. So I'm looking forward to this pickleball match tomorrow, even though I've never played pickleball. So
I think as a tennis player, you're gonna be fine.
You'll be a natural.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm placing some wagers, right up front. I'm coming in with a lot of confidence, probably misplaced confidence, but yeah, we're super excited to work together.
So you enjoy the warmth of Florida, but you also probably enjoy the tax savings of Florida compared to New York, right?
So that I have going for me for sure, because whenever we're making a pitch internally to get people moving, that one always
Every
gets people's
internal
attention.
meeting, there's a slide. Do you like taxes? Yes. Stay with Ryan. No. Come with me to Miami.
It's an automatic promotion, is what I tell people. So
Hey, and you can visit, because New York, I've only been there once, and I want to go more. I'm not super knowledgeable about New York, but the food there is amazing. But other than that, I don't know why you would want to be in Florida. Everything else is better in Florida.
I will show you around so you understand that it's not just the food. The food's a great
Food
but there's
scene is
food,
on
there's
point.
shopping, there's good entertainment that you got there. You can go see a show, you can go see all the sports teams, and Boston Garden's great, but Madison Square Garden, that's a special
You're
place.
right.
But there are a lot of good restaurants. Michael Jordan owns one in Jupiter, and so does Tiger Woods.
Yeah, but
and
for
so-
every one that you've got down there, I've got 15 in a 5-block radius.
That's what I liked about New York. I have I have in-laws that used to live in New York, and we would just, it wasn't what's for dinner. You just walk outside and you'd either pick that place or that place or that place. it's the options are unlimited, and they're all good.
They do have that going for them. If you wake up and you decide that you want a mix between sushi and French and Nigerian food, there is somehow a restaurant that has that exact mix within 2 blocks of where you are. So New York is definitely special. That
Well,
way.
and the delis and the pizza, it's just everywhere. You just turn around. It's like being on a cruise. You just can't walk back to a pizza place without grabbing a piece.
Yeah, well, it's a dangerous prospect, because if you're walking home and you're like, I can get a slice right now. I can keep walking. I can do that.
It's also $1 too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, I would
Cheap.
put some weight on. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
Yeah, well, we've been talking to you guys for a while. Obviously, I think it'd be cool for everybody to know kind of, who do you look at? You look at, we've talked about some of your other portfolio companies or other companies you've consulted with or purchased. I think it'd be interesting for everybody to kind of hear why solar. What do you like about solar? I don't know who. Max, what do you like about solar?
Yeah, I think, Bruce has been exposed to the renewables industry more broadly by sitting on the board of Vestas, which is the world's largest wind turbine manufacturer. It's based in Denmark. And we've done consulting work for Vestas, actually before Bruce became a board member. That's how that whole thing got put together. And So we've had a little bit of exposure, but it's one of the fastest growing industries in the world, not to mention in the US. And we probably like the most is the whole aspect of storage, because now it's storage and there's been a lot of changes in the industry, but those inflection points where there's a lot of change that happen all at once are where we like to focus, because that means that you probably need to, as a company, rejigger it could be your sales efforts, could be your purchasing, supply chain, your internal processes, and that's usually where we can really get a lot of value extracted by working together with both our portfolio companies as well as our clients. And you guys have a huge head start at ES with the focus on battery installation, and that was definitely something that caught our eye and that we think has most of its runway still in front of it moving forward.
I forgot when we were talking about large turnarounds. Vestas was one of them.
Yeah.
So their stock was trading at 4 kroner. Now it's at 225.
Holy cow.
When we started working with them. So,
Wow.
so anyhow, so that's probably one of the reasons why I was chosen to sit on their board. So, but we shouldn't forget, and Max has done a lot of work there too. We started about 10 years ago doing consulting work for First Solar. But they're only first they were a developer, that's where they made all their money, and they were losing money on the panels. They got rid of the development, and then now they're only making solar panels and making really good money now.
For utility scale.
But that's utility scale. However, we've discussed with them projects of looking for them to enter into the residential market, and that possibly would be sweet. Of course, I know that we have a great Indian supplier, but should they go into that field, then we have a local supplier. They're building the world's largest plant in Montgomery, Alabama. They have a plant that is probably twice the size of a car assembly plant already in Ohio. So should they make that decision to go into residential, then that could be a possible new partner.
Yes.
So.
That'd be awesome.
I would love to talk to him. That's kind of my day-to-day. I mean, for the short term, I think, we have a lot of options. Stuff sitting, NEM 3.0 in California is shaking up a lot of the industry, and I think a lot of product in general is just sitting on shelves because you have all these solar companies that don't know what they want to do, and so that's, some good short-term buys, but I'd love to have a new option that doesn't take 3 weeks to get here from India too.
Right.
Great.
So Ryan, let me ask you Max kind of talked there about why you guys like the solar industry, and obviously we're big fans of the solar industry. That's why that's why we're in it. Jeff and I, 14 years ago when we started this company, we pulled a whiteboard out and whiteboarded industries we wanted to be in, and the energy renewable industry was right on the board. That was the first one, and that's why we started the way we did. So I agree there's a ton of future in it. And Max kind of answered this, but specifically ES Solar, what was it about us? Obviously the storage is big, but anything else specific about us that you guys like?
Yeah, I think we met the team, we love the team, right? That's an important part for us, right? At the end of the day, a company is only as good as its people, and so far everybody we've met has been fantastic. And I think, from you guys on down, everybody not just is, smart and energetic, but they're agile. And I think that's something that three of us kept on repeating as we got to know you guys better, is that when there were these inflection points, we watched some of your competitors and peers in other places fold up shop, tuck tail, go away. You guys have always adapted, whether it be through net metering changes or changes in the marketplace, interest rates, solar coaster, as we've now learned to call it. But
who moved my cheese?
Yeah, exactly. You got to keep on adapting the business, and I think for us, that sign of resiliency is something that's unique. And something you guys should be obviously very proud of, everybody, but that's what we wanted to hitch our wagon to, is somebody that really felt that way, because that's the way that we've tried to operate, our businesses, and also train our clients, the Fortune 500 folks that we work with on the management consulting side on a day-to-day basis.
Great. Cool. Thank you.
There's actually one thing additionally, that they have their strategic priorities right, that they built an indoor hoops court as well. So.
Right in the business plan.
It's been fun. We do have a really fun, good culture here. You hit it on the head. We wouldn't be here today without the people that work here. There's no doubt we have some of the most talented in every level. It doesn't matter if you're talking sales, if you're talking installers, office. I mean, just these guys that do this podcast, and we have great people that work here, and we have a lot of fun together, and the culture's good. It's one of those things. It's like I'm a big country fan, and Luke Combs has that new song out. It's called "Doing This," and that's one of my favorite songs because it's like I just think back and I'm like, if I wasn't doing this, what would I be doing? And it'd be this,
right?
And with these kind of people, and it makes it fun. And I do want to say, and I was going to wait to say it, but I appreciate the faith you guys have in us too. I mean, that means a lot because we're excited, but just the fact that you guys see value in ES Solar and in us and our people puts a lot of pressure on. I feel a lot of pressure right now, I'll be honest, because I want this to be the best purchase you guys have ever done, and I want to blow this up, but it feels really good to just know that you guys trust us.
Yes, I mean, for sure.
At least you're the biggest.
But it's going to be the
that
best.
might put even more pressure.
But I think overall, like for us, finding the right cultural fit is important. We want people that work hard and play hard because that's, you spend so much time. I think you said it right. Like, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this? We want people that think in that mindset that this is where they want to be. This is the type of work that they want to do with the people that they want to do it with, right? So many folks that we talk to, they don't like their boss or they don't like what industry they're in. Finding people that like both, like it's kind of the dream.
Yeah. No, we've been really fortunate. It's been fun.
Yeah, and we talk to, we like the solar industry, but in a process like this, you talk to a lot of different companies, you run into a lot of different people, and it's very seldom, we're not buying 50 companies in one industry. That's definitely not how we think about things. So it was definitely, and you guys have an unusual mix of good qualities that are not always kind of in the same bowl put together. So that's, we shouldn't understate that.
Yeah. To some extent, this is unique also, not only size-wise, but at least in the beginning, I would almost say, even to this day, we like to buy companies that actually aren't as profitable as you are and actually not as well run as you are, because we're pretty good at turnarounds, and not only with our clients, like the big guys, like I said, General Motors, BlackBerry, Vestas, etc., but also for smaller companies. So this is more a growth play. I mean, yes, everyone can do something better tomorrow than we did today. So of course the whole continuous improvement thing, but it's not like a total restructuring that we go through many times. I mean, we just sold a company that did stainless steel forgings for the oil and gas industry, and when we bought it basically for pennies on the dollar, and it wasn't worth more, by the way, then, because it was basically bankrupt. And then we took it from basically minus 10% EBITDA to plus 20% EBITDA. So but you're already at like 13, 14-ish. So it's not that kind of a run. Here it is to how do we, use our magic to be able to grow. And there is one thing that you have in common if you have to downsize or, in this case, grow fast, is how do you focus on higher speed in everything you do? Because if you do things in half the time, you need half the people. However, if you keep all of the people, which we intend on doing, then you can have twice the amount of revenues. So it's basically the same methodology. I usually say it's the same thing between selling and purchasing. It's the same thing, but the other side of the coin. So there, I think our methodologies can be helpful so that we can increase the clock speed and everything we
efficiency.
do.
Yeah. Totally. And I think that growth and just thinking geographic, anytime we were talking about the deal, we just it's like a laundry list. Like, oh my God, which way do we grow? There's so many different ways that we can grow. And that's what's super exciting, I think, for us, is to be able to be a part of that and work with you guys to get there.
Cool.
That was kind of my next question.
Was the next question. Yeah, it was like, what do we do?
Huh?
We have a lot of people asking, they might be in fulfillment, they might be in install, they might be in the office or the sales team. They're kind of, I feel like we have a lot of coachable people ready to learn, ready to listen, right? I mean, other than efficiency, speed, improving processes? Is there anything else kind of high level that you've discussed that kind of feels like a Max question? I mean, is there anything else that
Next question.
you're the efficient one? I don't know. They're all efficient.
No, I think the vision really, as Bruce said, is growth. So I don't remember the exact number, but I think that as we went through that laundry list and really started to get specific on the different ways that we think that we can grow the company, we probably think that we can about triple the size of ES Solar in probably the next 3 to 5 years. Which sounds like a lot, but really when we start to think about we're only in Utah and Idaho, there's a lot bigger markets out there that can benefit from the way that we're working today. There's a lot of homes even in Utah and Idaho where we've installed solar and storage systems but may not have a battery installed yet. There's commercial work, there's specific projects like the one with Pechanga that can lead into other projects like that, and those themselves are big projects. And all of a sudden, just with that short list, we have easily a way to triple the size of the business. So to the folks in fulfillment or installation or any of the departments, that's really, I think, the mindset is there may be in that period of growth a lot of changes in the way we process, because it is different fulfilling for 3 times the volume versus a third of that volume. So those are just the things that we would be thinking about. However, that's probably the most exciting phase of being in a company, which you guys have done, really. You have doubled or tripled the size of the business over the last 3 to 5 years, and the vision is now how do we take that forward and essentially
You got to keep the exponential going, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you have the owner of our battery supplier that has 29,000 gas stations here in the U.S., and all of them have to get electrified.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, that's a great answer, because that's, people asked us too, like, well, why are you guys selling part of the company? I mean, why are you guys bringing a new partner? And it's because the way we look at it is, in life, business doesn't matter. You're either progressing or you're not. And honestly, it's been getting to the point where it's a little scary. I mean, Jeff and I have never ran a business with this many employees, and we've never, scaled to the point what we're gonna do here the next couple of years, and it's super scary. And so that was what, again, was intriguing to us when we first started talking, besides the fact that you consulting, your experience there, but just that you guys have done this. You've seen companies do it, you know what it takes, and this is going to make it. So I agree with Max. There's no reason we shouldn't be tripled in 3 to 5 years. But alone with just us two, maybe we could do it, maybe we couldn't, but it scares the crap out of me. And so having partners that have done it before other people is going to be refreshing, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Scary to keep that beast fed.
Yeah.
It's a beast. But
And I think it's also like being able to, what Bruce said about speed and thinking about efficiency internally, like each of the individual departments, like what can we do to, tune the engine? And that will give us, if that's running at a higher speed and a higher velocity, then we can concentrate on something else. And that something else is always the growth, right? So how do we free up as much of our time as possible to really think about growth?
Yep. Well, it's for people here too. We have some really awesome people that have been here for a while, and you don't want people to hit ceilings. If you quit growing, it's hard for move up. And so there's going to be a lot of exciting opportunities for everyone that works here to move up. And now as we grow, we're going to need different and bigger roles. And so far, our history, and this isn't on the sheet of questions, but we can talk about this stuff later. But most of our people, we've grown.
Yeah.
I mean, they've started from. I'll use Shay for an example, and you'll meet her coming up. And I love Shay, and she is a key part of our company. When she started here, she came from a call center. She didn't really have much business experience. She runs now our whole project management team. I mean, and we did over $100 million last year, and she was in charge of making sure all that got fulfilled. And just watching her grow over the last 6 years and where she's at is awesome. And there's many stories besides just her, but we love that. And I think there's other people that are ready to grow. And we need to grow for that.
That fits into our culture perfectly, right? I mean, if you take a look across our group, we even have some of our management teams in the portfolio companies used to be ex-management consultants. So we like keeping it in the family. We like growing people from we have a whole mantra that says higher attitude, train skills.
Yeah.
That's the right way to do it. If you've got someone that's hungry, that wants to be able to do something more, like give them the opportunity, give them the tools to be able to be successful.
And I think talking about speed, that's the biggest legacy we have from the Jan Stenbeck group was speed. And because he said he had his like 10 commandments, just like Moses had his, Jan Stenbeck had his 10 commandments. And one of them is time and money are both easy to waste, but you can never win back time. So even, metaphysically, that means a lot. I mean, I've lost my money, I've regained it, I've lost it, I regained it. So that you actually can do, but I can't win back one single day. So that's true. And then the metaphor that we use, and Max and I had the benefit of one of our clients. That's one of the key advertisers for the Williams team in Formula One. So we got to go down there and see with our own eyes. So how long does it take if you get a flat tire? I mean, on average, I hear at least among men, maybe 20 minutes. If you ask my wife, she would say 2 weeks. So, but they change 4 tires in 1.92 seconds.
Jeez.
Wow.
And it's just mind-boggling, but they do it, and they train for it, and they have systems and tools and everything aligned, because otherwise they'll lose the race if they can't do it.
4 seconds was probably mind-boggling 20 years ago.
Yeah, right.
And now there's always a way to make things. There's always room for improvement. Right. Always.
So
there's a reason why world records are broke every year.
That's it.
I mean, you need a rabbit to chase. We talk a lot about that around here, as especially the sales team. Once somebody does 120 sales a year, I mean, that is crazy. You don't even think it's possible, but then once it's possible, and you have that mark and that rabbit,
That's the benchmark.
Yep.
Now
next
you got to
time
go
somebody's
from
going to
there.
be 130.
Yep.
It can be done. So I love that.
so
We kind of already answered this, but maybe just Ryan, 3 to 5 years from now, where do you see us, Solar?
I mean, the triple of the growth for sure. I think it's new markets for sure. I think it's definitely in those new markets migrating what's been so successful for you guys so far, which is the battery storage piece of it. And then towards the end of that 5 years, who knows? I mean, we've talked about this, that maybe there's a new technology that we don't know about yet. But the fact that we've already gained the homeowners' trust, that they believe in us to come in and help them on the energy saving side, that we can be agile enough to be ahead of the curve on whatever's next. So I think it's geographical growth, it may be offering growth, and it may be also thinking about, like, how do we keep all those customers sort of in our family, right? So that, we installed solar panels, now we can do the battery. Now from the battery, maybe it's a heat pump, maybe it's hydrogen, maybe it's EV chargers. I don't know what I don't know yet, but being able to have that sort of stickiness with our customers, I think is a huge opportunity, and I'd love to see that grow as well.
and then also having our own financing as well.
Yes, that would be a huge step. I mean,
I'll love that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we all would.
It would create a lot of, what's the opposite of sleepless nights? Good night's sleep.
Good night's sleep.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it would give us a huge competitive advantage, and it would, it would definitely get rid of all the uncertainties in the market. I mean,
Yeah.
we would still have those because interest rates are going to change. I mean, no matter how, if we have our own deal with somebody else, it's going to fluctuate, but we'll have way more control over it. It'll be big time.
But I think in that 3 to 5 year period, that growth and just being able to take the strong brand, the strong positioning that we've got, and if you're in other markets, then you blink and all of a sudden we're a national player.
Yeah.
Like, that's not that crazy to think about, even though right now we're in Utah and Idaho. Mm-hmm. I think that's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, me too.
That's cool.
And then we're talking about organic growth, which is the most important one. But since we do have access to external capital, and as soon as interest rates go down, and it won't only help our core business, but it'll help us to finance acquisitions much more aggressively. So that I think as well, because now we have a company that maybe is an 8, and we can, with our help, maybe we can move it to a 9. But you have all of these guys that are 3, 4s, and 5s. I'm not talking about the 1s and 2s even, and we can take them with our knowledge and plug them in and have a plug and play model instead of plug and pray model.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I agree. That's, we've all talked about that, but it's such a, we've grown and we've done offices outside of the area, obviously, and it's hard. It takes a lot. So anything we can do to have infrastructure already in place, things like that, is only going to speed up and make it that much quicker and easier to grow. And I agree with you. It's kind of crazy to think about, but we could be a huge national player one day. It's crazy to think that we're already doing $100 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never thought that a couple years ago. So,
and we already have a head start on the market in a big, what we all think, I think, is the future of solar storage, and we already have a 2-year head start on that. So yeah.
And I think as we were talking to, trying to understand the market, and as Max said, you talk to a lot of people, and the key thing that everybody kept on saying is like, they're doing what?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. One thing, shifting gears a little bit, I think everybody probably wants to know is what changes, this is the first time we've gone through this. What changes? What's different? What happens? What changes do you make, if any? I mean,
yeah, well, I'll start with the first one, which is there's no immediate plans to make any changes to the team. So that's actually one of the main reasons that we liked ES so much, is that we do, as Bruce said, sometimes go into situations where you already know it's like, it's a good company, it's got potential, but we need to make these group of changes in the people, in the team, and that's not the case here. So I think that really the changes are going to center around how do we, in that process of becoming 3 times bigger, what needs to happen for the company to be able to process that much more work. And for the most part, those are positive changes because it organizes things that might already be happening, but they might be in people's heads. So the only thing that needs to happen is some of those processes or steps need to be put on paper. It might be that, hey, we're bigger than we give ourselves credit for. We might be able to negotiate with our suppliers in a little bit of a different way. It might mean that we need to, you get better by 1%, the bigger you are, that 1% is worth more. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden that continuous improvement, becoming 1% better at things, those things start to matter more because you're bigger. So it would be that mindset. I think that given what we've seen so far, and if there's an attitude of curiosity, if there's an attitude of wanting to grow, wanting to get better, continuous, self-improvement, you are not going to have a problem. In fact, you're going to love it because you may already know in the back of your head, it's like, the way we're doing things is great, but it'd be 1% better to, if we did it this other way. And there may not be a lot of reason to improve something by 1% because it means change, and you need to get that change through to the rest of the company, and that takes work. But I think that's really what we're going to be working on, is trying to help all the team, because we don't know your business better than you guys do, right? Or better than anybody in the company does. So it's more about how do we really almost give permission to folks to start to implement those changes and coordinate across the big company to make sure that we get and share best practices and get the best way of doing things across the board.
Yeah, nice. And I don't think you guys would have gotten to where you were if you weren't on a change curve where you had that open mindset for like, hey, we can do things differently. I mean, the whole agility of saying like, let's do battery as opposed to let's get out of Utah, like that's pretty good proof point. Yeah. But I think so. It's not so much a change when we would come on, but I think Max is right. It's like, how do we turbocharge people to think differently? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So everybody, it doesn't matter what department you're in. Like, what are your top 5 ideas? Start thinking about those, right? Because at the end of the day, when we take a look at what are the things that we can do and what's going to move the needle for us as a business, like we want to understand from the ground up how these ideas come about and what are some of the best ones. And so, when we come in as consultants for the Fortune 500, they sometimes have a strategy laid out, and it's like, how do we help you get there? And it's not like we're handing people fish, we're handing them fishing rods. And that's the goal, right? We want to be able to give people the right tools, the right thinking, the right framework to say, like, how can I do this 1% better? How can I do this 1% faster? How can I sell 1% more, right? Those are the things that if everybody does that and everybody has that growth mindset, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to say, well, we didn't really change that much, but man, look at what we've done.
Yeah, because every department has a new benchmark.
Exactly.
It's not just the sales team, somebody got 120 and now 130 is the new goal. Maybe it's an install crew. Instead of 5 jobs a week, maybe they get 6 or 7. Yeah. And then next thing you know, they all do 7. Or project coordinator takes a group of 20 jobs and makes it 30 jobs. Or That's cool. I hadn't thought about. I mean, we think about that a lot. I think in sales, but maybe some of the other departments.
It should be across the board. I mean, one of the early, I don't know if it was one of our mottos or taglines was, I think, best practice sharing to improve financial performance. I'm butchering the exact language, but it's around that mindset, right? Yeah. So like the benchmarks are from, okay, one team does it this way, and they want to explain to everybody else how they did it, because oh wow, I can learn something from that team, and that's the culture that I think we want to turbocharge. Like, so how do we
installation in 1.92 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. You hear that, guys? 1.92 seconds. Can we get it done?
That's awesome. I agree with that stuff. And it's kind of like, I hear you talk about this. It's like when you read a self-help book. You read a book that somebody wrote, and every time I read one of those, there's nothing new I learn. It's like, this is kind of, but at the same time, it's always, why am I not doing this?
Right.
Like, I totally know this. Like, why am I not doing it? And that's kind of the cool stuff I think you guys are going to help us with.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if it was a compliment at the time, but I've taken it as a compliment. Probably about 10 years ago, one of our clients is like, you know what you are? You're a personal trainer. It's like, I don't know if I like that. Why am I the personal trainer? He's like, well, I know I'm supposed to eat healthy and work out and everything, but you're the one who forces me to do it every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we can be really good arms and legs to help you guys, is just to say, like, all right, what are we doing today? Like, how do we make sure that we're following up on that? How do we make sure that we're changing people's mindset to say, like, how do I do 1% better?
Everybody, you look around, and a lot of the most successful people have coaches. Personal trainers or good leaders in their life. It could just be a good manager, which we could be better at. Yeah, I love that. So Bruce, I'll put you on the spot then.
Yep.
Just hearing that stuff, specifically ES Solar.
Yeah.
Get this 5-year plan. Is there anything just on the top of your head you can think of that, like, this has got to change, or this is one thing we're going to have to do better to get there?
And
that you've seen from other companies.
Thing, because normally, companies that improve, it's not one thing, it's 100 things that they do better.
The 1%, 100 things is a little teeny bit better.
Right. So I think it's doing a lot of things better. And but not only better, but also, we're in a market that has super growth. It's like very seldom do you see anything like renewables right now. And you could, without getting into politics, you can either believe totally in sort of the Green New Deal, or you could be like me, even though I'm on the board of the world's largest wind company, that doesn't necessarily think that all of this growth is possible. For example, for us, in our strategic plans, we're at about half of the lower band of the United Nations forecast. It's impossible to. So, politicians are up in the sky. So, but nevertheless, we're in a very blessed industry. So I think that, the sky is the limit. And then the question becomes, how can we, because, we have finite human resources, managerial resources, and financial resources. So the common brain power together is, how can we play this game of chess the best way? Because we can't do it all, so we have to make some real deliberate choices. And those I don't know yet, but that's what we're looking forward to.
That's
figuring
the fun part.
That out. Right, exactly.
No, it really is. I'm super excited to sit down with you guys and game plan. I know we have a 100-day planning meeting we're going to do later, and I'm excited about that stuff.
Yeah.
I am too. I mean, a lot of these questions, just in talking about it, we're answering a lot of these questions. The next one is, what do you expect from everybody working right now currently? And it's I'm assuming it's get 1% better every day. I mean, that's kind of the recurring theme, and 1% every day doesn't sound very good until you get 100 days down the road, and then it's awesome, right? Or 200 days down the road, and then you're twice as good as we are now. So, that's cool. Okay, last question.
Yeah.
What can everybody expect moving forward? Again, this is kind of a new process for everybody. It's not kind of a new process. It's a very new process for everybody. I mean, what can we expect moving forward? I mean, what are some expectations that that current employees can look forward to?
Yeah, I think I can start tactically, which is, for the most part, we work together to keep most of everything the same. So that means that things like health insurance and vacation policies and everything like that should all basically carry over. So there's no immediate changes like that, which sometimes happen in acquisitions. I think that moving forward in that process of getting 1% better, we're starting from 0%. We don't. I mean, we've talked to Chris and Jeff obviously a lot over the last few months, but we really don't know the company all that well yet, the way we'd like to. So be patient with us, because we're going to be asking a lot of questions, and a lot of them will probably be stupid questions, but we'll ask them anyways. So we'll try to get a sense for how the different departments operate and the challenges that you guys are facing, and start to form a little bit of some ideas in our heads and understand where some of the opportunities may be. And then other than that, it's kind of related to what we were talking about earlier. It's, getting 1% better every single day sounds very difficult, because it is, but I would just say be open-minded, because ultimately that's what we're looking for, is if we can all stay open-minded. And a lot of the times the magic happens between departments. So how do we make sure that when we accomplish something, that it gets communicated in an efficient way to the other department, and that department is then empowered to be able to be as efficient with the information that they just received, and stuff like that. So even if we're optimized kind of within, be open-minded as to the changes that may be needed, so that it gets propagated throughout the company.
Yeah, no notes. You said exactly what I was going to say. Open-minded, I think, is the key. And it's not because we're going to come in with something radically different. It's just the whole point is to push one another, right? So that we can all get better. So we may ask questions that may seem silly or stupid or uninformed, but like we're trying to learn your business so that we can help you better.
Cool. Yep. Well,
and in fast-growing companies, the people who want to stay on the bus, they normally grow personally, they grow career-wise, they grow money-wise, and high tide lifts all boats. It's when the company becomes stagnant and doesn't grow, that's when all of the big problems happen. So, and then I would just add on too that one very important part is our vision, value statement. And we've had that consistently during our whole lifetime. And we're actually pretty darn good at living up to it. It's work hard, have fun, make money, and give back. So we'll also discuss the giving back, because we've made pledges to some of the organizations like Hand in Hand, where I think we talked about it when I was here the last time, is that we want to give 5% of EBITDA in all of our companies to the program there, especially in Kenya and Tanzania, to take those companies that have started that are like 1, 2, 3 women startups and bring them to the next level, 10, 15, 20 employees. So we have a program there, and so that's something. But also in your local neighborhoods, we also believe that giving is important, and giving is not only money. It's we talk about the 3 T's: treasure, time, and talent.
Yeah.
And the two latter maybe even affects the heart even more than the money part. Yep. So this is something we're real about, and we're getting even more real for every year. But you have to grow to be able to give more. So that's one of the reasons why we do it. So
cool.
Sorry.
I don't know. I'm really excited about the next 100 days, about the next 3 years, 5 years, and we really appreciate all your comments. Is there anything we left out? I mean,
Before we move on, though, too, if I could follow up on Bruce, that's another thing that we really like about you guys. I know you guys do a lot of really cool, fun, charitable stuff, and we do too. I mean, I don't know if I've told you guys, but like every year we try to do something, and there's so many people in this company that are so generous with their money and time and efforts. And we've helped out 2 different widows whose husbands have passed, military families, and done free systems for them. And we donated money to Hill Air Force Base on their bomb squad for people who get injured, things like that. And Operation Underground Railroad, we did a bunch of stuff for them. And so I think that's really important to us, and it's important to a lot of people here. So it's going to be cool to see the new opportunities that open up that you guys are involved in. Let everyone here participate in.
For sure. For sure.
So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I love that. I love that part, and I'm glad we talked about that. I think it's exciting times. I mean, I really do. I'm nervous. I'll be honest. I feel
the pressure.
I feel pressure because I really, truly want this to be the best thing you guys ever done, and I want everyone in the company to keep growing, and this to be the best thing that's ever happened to solar. My heart of hearts, I believe it is. That's the only reason we're doing a deal, and again, I'm excited about the future, and I'm excited to work with you guys. So thank you very much for having faith in us.
Yep.
Thank
you guys.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I think we're probably just as nervous and want this to succeed as much as you guys do. But I think for us, it's all about how do we do it together. And whether it's you guys or anybody else that we interact with throughout the company, come to us if you got ideas. We're big on idea sharing, because the idea sharing is where you're going to get the best opportunities, and the best opportunities are what's going to give us growth.
Yeah, and I've had moments where I've asked Bruce, well, what happens if, not talking about this, just in general, well, what happens if it doesn't work? And Bruce would say, don't worry, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
So I think that's with this team in place, that's exactly what we're going to do.
To be honest, when we've had control over our investments, so far, we've always sometimes we thought it would take a year to turn it around. It took 2 or 3 years to turn around, but we finally get where we need to be. We've never defaulted on any company that we've been in control over. So and mind you, it never started out with a strong management team like you guys, because we always buy things on the cheap, and there's a reason why they haven't performed, because they haven't had good leaders. So here I think there's such a huge potential. So
yeah, and I think honestly, being nervous is good.
Yeah, it is.
One of the sayings in my life, and I stole it from hundreds of other people to say it, but pressure makes diamonds, and I feel like I have a similar history, background of you, Bruce, and my back's been against the wall many a times, and I've always been able to come out swinging and come out on top, and our back is not against the wall this time. And so, we've been kind of comfortable here the last couple of years, and now it's probably good for us to get some pressure and kind of get out of our comfort zone and feel like we've got to, do a little bit more and push a little bit harder now.
Well, we're excited to do it with you guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you. We're excited for the future.
Thanks.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you.